Hi babes, my name's Kellyanne and welcome to the first part in a 3-part series titled Get Out of Your Head. I'm really hoping that this is something that comes from the whole of me and is delivered to you at the exact time that you need to hear this, because I've been feeling and seeing and hearing a lot of people around me, especially those who are spiritual and on a path to welcoming consciousness and self-awareness, wanting to figure out the right way to do things and yet blocking themselves because they're trying to find a right way. They're trying to find some logical, most reasonable, most effective or efficient or other productivity word vomit blah blahs that they can latch onto, so they feel like, I have this thing that I not just believe in, but that I know works. I want to know with certainty, with evidence, with complete critical analysis achieved. I want to know things. That is, in and of itself, not just a silly goal to want to know all things and to have all the answers. I mean, hear that said aloud. Just sit with it as it is said aloud. I want to know all things. I want to know all the answers. When I ask a question, I want to understand. I want to receive the right direction. I want to be put in the right direction. And I want to make it right the first time. They all sound a little silly because they come from a place of imbalance. They come from a place of not harmonizing with the heart space or the gut, which are the two other places in your body that you should also be inhabiting. So in this first video, I'm going to talk about why your head ain't it, or at least ain't all of it. And in the second video, I'm going to talk about those two things that we need to really tap into in order to welcome wholeness and harmony into our lives. In the third video, I'm going to give you actual practices for alignment, not only with your heart and your gut, but also with your head. There's going to be a level of mastery that is available to you at the end of this series. So be sure to watch all of them, because I'm giving you every of the thing so you can so I can feel good knowing that everything that I've learned I've shared with other people, because I've been so in my head and so wrapped up in that productivity perfectionism mindset where I think that doing things the right way the first time is like, the angels are singing, it's a perfect success, nothing went wrong, I achieved everything because I planned for everything. That life is boring. That life is not only boring, but disappointing. Because what happens when you create this imbalanced life centered around the imbalanced belief that your mind is the one thing that you need to be full of, mindfulness, then you center around this lack in all of these other places in your body where you could be cultivating energy that makes you feel like you've succeeded even when everything did go wrong. The balance that you create by tuning into everything, not just your brain, not just your brain waves, but everything, really changes everything. Changes your relationships, it changes your perspective on your career, it changes your ability to take care of yourself, it changes how you operate in your home space and like what you even feel you need in your environment, in your physical environment. It changes everything. Respecting what goes on in your head by observing it and becoming mindful is one of the changes that you definitely can make and ought to make. I encourage making, because there are stories that live in there that need to be looked at, need to be seen, need to be witnessed. Everyone wants to be seen and heard. When you witness those stories, you start to see how you're blocking yourself, how you're putting constraints and barriers on things that more naturally flow when they're free, when they're unconstrained. So the headspace is very much like, it's very much connected to all of the principles of art, or all of the, I forget what they're called, but it's like, I would say principles of art or composition. So when I was a visual arts student in middle school, I was at a visual arts magnet school, and we learned about shape, form, color, balance, I want to say texture, line, and I know that there's something else. There's like one or two others, but these are all parts of a whole. They're all things that come together to help us understand a feeling that's being conveyed. So what our minds process are those visual and auditory and sensory textures and forms and colors and contrast. Ooh, contrast is another good one. Our senses are picking up on all of this, the composition of our world all the time. And what our brain gets to do is process that and how it's made us feel. The problem is, we've often been taught that feeling is something we should disconnect from or disassociate from the thinking process or the decision-making process. The pro of disconnecting might be that your feelings are overwhelming, and if you have to make a decision right away, there's no other choice. The con is that you disregard a part of yourself that's clearly trying to tell you something, that's clearly trying to convey either a green light or a yellow light or a stop light, a red light. It's trying to signal you so that your logic brain and your robot mind expand a little bit and invite in the colors, invite in the contrast, invite in the squiggles in the line. You know, our minds are seen as computers. However, we can be so creative with coding. We can get creative with how we use the form and the structure in our lives to understand and compute the rest of it. However, the brain is also good for something else. Your mind is also another place where imagination happens. And unfortunately, we are discouraged as we get older and as we learn to be responsible for ourselves and to mature. We're often discouraged from using our imagination or talking about what we dream of, things that aren't real, aren't evidence-based or fact-based, because that's how the entire culture that we are formed to take shape in exists. However, you know, as someone who is connected to your spirit, to the greater you that is connected to all things, you're aware that this isn't the full story. You're aware that we're not meant to just be in our heads. And that's why you're watching this. But that's why you've made it so far into this video, because you're at the point where you're like, I can't do it anymore. I can't be productive my whole life. I can't try and succeed based on other people's standards my whole life. I can't live with the disappointment and the shame and the guilt around not being perfect anymore. That's the, you know, the balance that you strike with trying to live all the way in your head. You disregard and you throw away and disrespect all of these other parts of yourself that complete you. You don't need anyone else to complete you. You can complete yourself. And it is going to take shape over the course of the next 2 videos. So thank you for watching this one and recognizing how living in your head is hurting you more than it's helping you. I love you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Remember, you're deserving of all the love you desire.